Good morning and welcome to Gentle Yoga. I'm Leo Bray, coming to you on behalf of Kristen Olson's Urban Yoga Center in Palm Springs. Please visit us online at urbanyoga.org or Kristen Olson's Urban Yoga Center on Facebook to check out our schedule of daily classes. And please note, too, that there's also a tip jar online. You can make contributions to support our Zoom classes that end up on YouTube. And you can make those contributions via Venmo or PayPal or Zelle. So we're going to start today for our gentle practice on our backs, lying down. And you might just let the soles of your feet rest on the floor with your knees leaning towards each other. You could have a bolster or some pillows under your legs and extend your legs a little more. You might opt for bringing the soles of your feet together, letting your knees splay apart. And if you do that, you might support your legs with blocks or pillows if you want. Do what you like with your hands. Maybe they're just resting on the floor, or maybe they come to rest on your body, can rest on your legs, anywhere you want. I like having a hand on my heart and a hand on my belly to feel the movement of my breathing. So whatever your comfortable starting position is, feel your contact with the ground. Observe your breath, just allowing it to slow down and get deeper. As your body finds its comfortable stillness, making any little adjustments you need to. Notice how your contact with the floor changes as your breath shifts your body around. Notice where you're feeling these deeper breaths. Notice whatever sensations are present in your body right now. Especially noticing anything that doesn't feel good, any stiffness, any soreness. Make note of these things so you can keep them in mind as you practice, remembering that you're always welcome to skip or modify any portion of our practice. And by doing so, you can find the practice that's best for you, accommodating whatever you've got going on. Whenever your attention is drawn away from noticing your body, noticing your breathing, just gently redirect, come back to those central points of focus. Our shared intentions of observing our bodies, observing our breath, cultivating what we call the witness self, witnessing yourself, honoring your experience. And perhaps you'd like to set a personal intention, something more specific to yourself. You can take a few breaths to do that now. Before we begin to move from our starting posture, let's take 3 deep cleansing breaths. Breathe in through your nose, breathe out through your mouth with a sighing sound. Now, if you do have the soles of your feet together and your knees splayed apart, Bring your hands to your legs. Let your arms do the work of lifting your knees towards each other. Let the soles of your feet come to rest on the ground. Bring your knees in towards your chest. Hug your knees. Rock and roll side to side or in circles, massaging your lower back against the ground. Inhale, extend your arms and legs all the way out. Reach your fingers away from your toes. Exhale, curl up in a ball again. And do that for a few more rounds of breath. See if you can use the whole inhale to open up and use the whole exhale to bring your limbs in, curl up in a ball. At the end of your next exhale, hold on to your right knee, extend and lower your left leg, and reach your right arm to the side. Keep your shoulders on the ground and draw your knee over to the left, turn your head to the right. Slowly come back to center. Now draw your left knee in, extend and lower your right leg and your left arm. Bring your knee over to the right and turn your head to the left. Try to keep your shoulders grounded. Slowly come back to center. Draw both knees in again. And we're going to make our way up to a seat. So a couple ways to do that more actively. You might rock front to back and roll your spine along the ground. That might not feel good. If that doesn't feel good for you, you can tip onto one side and just plant your hand. Push yourself up to a seat. Any comfortable seated position will do here. Whatever works for you. Bring your hands out to the sides. Inhale, reach your left arm up alongside your ear. Exhaling, let your arm drape across your head. Gently let the weight of your arm draw your head to the left. And if you like, maybe pick up the right hand a little and reach out through your fingertips. Let your right hand down if it is raised. Let your neck stay passive. Let your left hand slide across your head and slide down to your cheek and use your arm to nudge your head back up to center. Let your left hand down. Inhale, raise your right arm. Exhale, let it drape over. Gently draw your head to the right. And if you want, extend out through your left fingertips. If your left hand is raised, let it down. Neck stays passive. Let your hands slide over and slide down. Nudge your head back up to center. Let that hand down. And a twist for the upper spine. The twist we did lying down was more about the lower spine. Walk your left hand behind you. Bring your right hand to your left leg. Inhale to lengthen up. Exhale, invite your body to twist some more. Just see how much feels like enough. You don't have to go as far as you can. Let yourself come back to center and walk your right hand behind you. Bring your left hand across. Inhale, lengthen up. Exhale, see about twisting some more. We're tempting sometimes to push and go further. There's a tendency we have, it's kind of a cultural thing for us to want to go as far as we can. So much of this culture is about bigger, better, faster, more. The twist that is enough, the twist that's right in the moment, can be way less than the furthest you can go. Been talking in some classes this week about ahimsa, which is one of the yamas, a yogic principle of non-harming, non-violence, and it starts with ourselves. Let yourself come back to the center. So ahimsa means non-violence in action and in speech and in thought. For terms of practicing, it's about a couple different things. One, not pushing ourselves further than we need to or than is beneficial, but also what we do in our head, not beating ourselves up about not going further or making a mistake. Inhale, bring your heart forward, let your head tip back. Exhale, draw your heart back, let your head tip forward. And just follow your breath a few more times. When I was new to the practice and taking classes, I started at a YMCA near my house in Boston. And I got hung up on watching other people and trying to do what they were doing. And these people had been practicing longer than I had. There were many things they could do I couldn't do. And I would beat myself up over it. I would feel bad about it. It was not honoring my own experience. And I was doing harm to myself, probably bodily, and pushing too far. And also, definitely in my head with this negative self talk. Fortunately, I had some great teachers who helped me out of that space and helped me learn to just have my own practice on my own mat and recognize and accept that each person's practice can be different. After your next exhale, sit up straight again. Let your chin fall towards your chest. We'll make some nice slow circles with our heads. Roll your ear towards your shoulder and let your head tip back. Really take your time. Try to resist moving your shoulders towards your ear. Let the head do the movement. Sometimes I'll take my hands off my legs and let my hands come to the floor to make sure my shoulders are disengaged. If you find any spots in your neck that are particularly tight, maybe you pause at the tight spots and rock back and forth, perhaps releasing some of that tightness. When you're ready, change direction. And when you finish your next circle, look forward, lift your chin. We'll work on opening the feet and the hips a bit. Pick up a leg, doesn't matter which one, whatever one's in front, if one's in front of the other. And you don't have to hold it the way I'm holding it. Support your leg with that arm on the same side, whatever grip works for you. And if you can, get your fingers interlaced between your toes. Now, don't hurt yourself. Non-harming, right? If your fingers don't quite smush between your toes, maybe you just grab the tops of your toes like that. And make some slow circles for your ankle. So let your foot hang limp and let your hand do the work. Really taking your time like you did with the head circles. Switch directions. Release your toes. Use both arms, both hands, whatever grip works. Support your leg. Let the leg hang in the support of the arms. Let the femur hang in the hip socket. Make some slow circles with the leg. So maybe your circles aren't this big, or maybe they're bigger. Just let that ball and socket joint open up. The femur, the biggest bone. The hip socket, the biggest joint. And change directions at some point. Again, seeing how much movement the leg wants, not forcing anything, feeling it out. Your hip will open at its own rate if you allow it to. Inviting the openness works better than ordering yourself around, shoving your body around. Switch legs. Grab those other toes. Start those slow circles for that ankle. I realize is making a face as I'm getting my fingers between my toes. It doesn't hurt, but I have big hands. It's some efforting to get my fingers between my toes. It wasn't painful, it's just maybe squinting a little and focusing. Change direction. And I know, I'm pretty sure this reaches the microphone. There's a clicking here, which I'm told is tendonitis. That doesn't hurt either. Just additional sound effects of a body in middle age. Release the toes, support your leg, and make some slow circles, rocking your femur in your hip socket. And change direction at some point. Let your leg down. I'm just scooting back for the sake of my camera. You don't have to do that. Bring your hands in front of you and walk them forward. Find a loose, simple forward fold. Don't worry about what it looks like. Just walk your hands out as far as you can and let your head down. See, I scooted back so my hands wouldn't go off camera, and I think they did anyway. And I won't beat myself up about that either. Walk your hands over to the left. Take a few breaths there. Walk your hands slowly back through center and over to your right. and take a few breaths. Walk your hands back through center and back in towards you to set yourself up. Grab a sip of my water. Now, I forgot to ask before class, have you got blocks? Yes? Okay. Usually do that before I start the recording. Folks watching later, if you don't have blocks, it's okay. It's never required. When I get to that part, I'll speak to what you might use instead. There are options sometimes for things we do with blocks. Let's come up on our hands and knees. There's not time to play with the blocks yet. Just thinking ahead. Open your hands way up. Feel your whole palms on the ground. Shoulders above your wrists or maybe behind your wrists. If it feels like too much on your wrists to have your shoulders right above your wrists, your hands can be further forward. A lot of people don't have quite that flexibility in the wrist to put the hands here. And your hips about above your knees. You could have extra padding under your knees if it bothers your knees to put weight on them like this. Inhale, bring your heart forward, let your head and tailbone go up. Exhale, bring your heart up and let your head tailbone come down. Just follow your breath, focusing on leading with the heart and letting the curves of your spine make the rest happen. Because of the way your spine is shaped, you move the heart up, the head and tailbone will come down. When you move the heart down, forward, the head and tailbone want to go up. And at the end of your next exhale, come back to table with your spine neutral. Reach your left foot back, press the ball of your foot against the floor, and take a couple breaths. With an inhale, reach your right arm to the side. If you want, with the next inhale, pick your left foot up, reach straight back as if to step on the wall. If that's okay and you want to go further, bend your knee, reach back, and maybe you can connect with grabbing your foot or your ankle or your pant leg. If you do, lift your knee a little, lift your chin a little. Release the bind. If you've got the bind, let your knee and your hands come down. Reach back, press into the ball of your right foot for a couple of breaths. Inhale, reach your left arm to the side. If you want, if it's okay for you, if it's not harming you, pick your foot up, reach straight back. You can always change your mind and put it down. If you want, bend your leg, reach back. Don't strain to get the bind. Bind is optional. There was a time I couldn't get these binds. Releasing any binds, let your knee and hand down. Bring your big toes to touch. If you like, widen your knees. If your knees are sensitive to being on the ground, it might be better to keep them closer together. We'll come to child's pose. Sit back towards your heels. It doesn't matter if you don't go this low, towards. You could even put something under your seat if you wanted to. You might come down onto a block, pillow, or bolster, or you can put it, it could rest on the floor or rest on your heels. You could walk your hands forward, let your head come down. Want to make sure your head is supported, so if your head doesn't quite reach the floor, you have the option to stack your hands and rest your forehead on your hands, or you could put a block under your head or a pillow. I was taking a yin class the other day and we came into some resting posture and the teacher referenced putting your head on the cat or the dog. Some people practice with their pets in the room. My dogs would disrupt the class, so they're not in there. You could make this even less engaged by reaching your hands back to your feet. So maybe that will feel better in your shoulders. Always nice to have options to explore. And it doesn't have to be about what you can or can't do. It can be about what feels more beneficial to you. It could even just be about change for the sake of change, which is a wonderful practice to cultivate. We're inherently resistant to change, and this can be unlearned. If your hands are reaching back, reach them forward again. And inhale, take your time, come forward and up back to table. We're going to make our way. We'll start towards standing. We'll do some stuff on the way there. Step your left foot up between your hands. Now, this is a place you might use blocks. If you have blocks under your hands, when you go to do that and step your foot forward, there's more room for that knee. You bring your hand to your leg and stand yourself up. If you feel wobbly, you can adjust to feel less wobbly. That might be widening the space between this knee and this foot. And some alignment things you can check out. This knee above this ankle, this hip above this knee, this leg behind this knee are all helpful visual cues for stability. You can start with your hands on your knee. Exhale, sink forward. Inhale, glide back, and the movement can be as big or small as you want. And if you want, you can add in some arm movement, maybe one arm as you exhale and come forward, bring your arm down. Inhale and come up, raise your arm. Maybe both arms, and the other arm can always come back to the leg if you start to wobble too much. And from the top of the movement, let's twist. Reach your left hand forward, your right hand back. Your left hand might drop to your knee if you start to feel unsteady in the twist. Come back through center with your hands to your heart, and then twist to the left. And your right hand might drop to your knee as needed. Come back to center. Bring your hands down and switch legs. Step your left knee back to the floor. Step your right foot forward. It doesn't have to be all in one step. Maybe you even grab your leg with your hand to help you. Lift your body up. Find that steadiness in this shape as we did on the first side. When you're steady, exhale, sink forward. Inhale, glide back. If you like, add in the arm movement, one arm or both arms. Anytime your hand can come to your leg to steady yourself. Maybe you wobble a little, maybe you start to tip over. From the top of the movement, let's twist to the left. Twisting towards the open hip first, I think helps facilitate the twist towards the closed hip. Come back to your center, and then twist to the right. Sometimes we get our left and right mixed up. And it's all right if we don't do it the same way. But there's often a reason for the order. Sometimes there's not any reason, it's just arbitrary. Come back to center, and let your hands down. And we'll step into a forward fold. Bring your left foot up to meet your right. And maybe you keep the blocks under your hands for steadiness. Keep some bend in your knees, maybe a little, maybe a lot. Pardon me. So your hands might rest on your blocks or hang in the air. Maybe fingertips drag on the ground like finger painting. Many folks here like to hold their elbows in their hands. Whatever you're doing with your arms in your hands, let your neck be open. Think of the weight of your head drawing your neck down. Your head weighs 10 or 12 pounds. That's a heavy thought. Maybe that helps your neck open more. Wow, my head's heavy. Now, if you're holding your elbows, let your hands hang down so your trapezius muscles can disengage more. And then let's nod the head nice and slowly. And shake your head. And you might be thinking, I can nod and shake my head with my elbows in my hands. Yes, you can. It's not going to have the same benefit, though. If you really want to do that, you can. The trapezius is going to be bunched up when you're clasping your elbows. Inhale, lift about halfway up. Press your hands to the front of your legs. Pushing. Feel for the crown of your head, reaching forward away from your tailbone. Exhale, relax down. Inhale, roll up to standing, hands up overhead. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. You let your hands down at your sides. Lift your left shoulder towards your ear and slide it back and let it down. And then your right shoulder up and back and down. Inhale, reach out to the sides. Exhale, reach for your shoulder blades and hug yourself. Or if you like, you could take eagle arms. Intertwine your arms, press your palms together. If you're in eagle, then lift your elbows and your hands, move them forward. Inhale, open up. Exhale, cross the other way. Reach for your shoulder blades or take eagle. Eagle is a good one to talk about, Ahimsa. Don't hurt yourself to get in the bind. There are different degrees of eagle. Maybe your hands don't come together. Maybe it's the backs of the hands instead of the palms. There's different degrees of intertwining your arms, right? Different degrees of lifting elbows and hands and moving them forward. Inhale to open. Exhale to let your arms come down. Inhale your arms out and up. Interlace your fingers and point your index fingers up. Steeple your fingers. Look up at your hands and lift up your heart. Think of those fingertips continuing to reach to the sky. Inhale to bring yourself upright. Exhale to bend to the right. Feel for length through both arms. Try not to lift the left heel. Maybe if you want, you bend the right knee to let the body bend some more. Your knee doesn't have to make that sound. That didn't hurt. My knees make all kinds of sounds. Oddly enough, my knees do hurt sometimes, but the pain doesn't go with the sounds. They hurt quietly, and then they get loud without pain. Inhale, come up. Exhale, bend to the left. Inhale to come up. Exhale, let your arms down. You need to take a sip of the water. Now I bend my knees as I go down to get the bottle. We're going to get our blocks, but don't just get your blocks. Be conscious of how you use your legs. The way you bend your knees spares your back. So the more work your legs do, the less work your back does. And with practice, you'll weave this into your daily life. Maybe you do already. Maybe you're in the habit of using your legs more than your back, but many of us aren't. So we'll flow to get the blocks like this. Inhale up. Exhale, fold down with soft knees. And grab your blocks. And let your legs do the work to inhale, come up. Exhale, bring your arms down. So we're going to play with the blocks here. Often we use the blocks under our hands, like between the hands on the floor or between our back and the floor. We're going to do something different with the blocks, holding them in our hands. So partway through this, I'm going to turn around just so you can see the back of me. You don't have to do any turning around. So one block in each hand. And if you're watching later on and you don't have blocks, you can hold anything in your hand. I've seen someone do this with a water bottle in their hand. You could grab a couple pillows, a couple books. It's helpful to have something in your hand. There are some postures we do, like binds, where we might have our hands interlaced behind our head or behind our back, and that's more effort than what we're going to do here, but similar muscular action to the arms and the back. So we'll go like this. Inhale, arms out and up. Bring the blocks together overhead. Exhale, bend your elbows and just dip the blocks behind your head like this. Inhale, lift your arms straight up. Exhale, let them come out to the sides and down. Now bring the blocks together behind you. And keeping them together, inhale, bend your elbows, lift the blocks up. Any amount, wherever you can go. Exhale, relax down. So we'll do it a few times like that. Inhale, out and up. Blocks come together. Exhale, bend your elbows, dip them behind your head, behind your neck. Inhale, straighten your arms. Exhale, out and down. Blocks come together behind you. Inhale, lift them up towards the middle of your back. Exhale, release them down behind your seat. Inhale, out and up. Exhale, bend your elbows, blocks behind your head. Inhale, straighten your arms. Exhale, arms out and down. Maybe I'll give it a side view. Inhale, lift up, pressing them gently together. Not a lot of action, a lot of force needed there. Exhale, relax down. Inhale, out and up, blocks together. Exhale, bend your elbows, dip your blocks. Inhale, straighten your arms. Exhale, up and down, blocks together behind you. Inhale, raise them. Exhale, lower. Let's go once more. Inhale, out and up, blocks touch. Exhale, dip. Inhale, lift up overhead. Exhale, out and down, blocks reconnect behind you. Inhale, lift up towards the shoulder blades. Exhale, down. All right, let's set the blocks aside. Remember to bend your knees to put them down. Come on back up. And being thusly warmed up, we'll do one more standing posture, a supported heart opener. So there's a heart opening pose called camel that is done kneeling on the floor, and it's really deep posture. We'll do a simpler standing version that's more supported. So it's a big, strong heart opener. And we're going to use our hands for support. So you might just have your hands like this at about your waistband, or imagine putting your hands in your back pockets. Most of the clothes we wear for yoga don't have pockets. Now, if you want to, if you're able to, you might also put your hands the other way with your fingertips pointing up and pressing like that. So this gives a nice stretch in the hands and in the forearms too. But don't force it. If it doesn't feel good, point your fingers down. This feels great in my forearms and my hands, so I like to do this, but maybe you feel better doing hands down like that. So we're going to explore this heart opener like this. Inhale, lift your gaze, lift your heart. Exhale, relax against your hands. Inhale, maybe lift a little more. Exhale, relax. So maybe there's not a lot of movement. Think of lifting and opening more as you breathe in and relaxing against that support of your hands as you breathe out. Inhale, think of rising. Exhale, relax. So maybe the pose continues to deepen, or maybe you just breathe where you are. Even if it keeps deepening, eventually it will stop, and then you'll breathe where you are. Then one can keep doing that indefinitely and keep bending back. Inhale, slowly straighten up. Exhale, release your hands. Now, if you were pressing with your fingers pointing up, your hands might have gone a little numb. You can shake them around. Do what my friend and colleague Liza calls starfish dance party, which is just waving your hands around wildly. Let's come down and have a seat. I guess I was pressing pretty hard in the hands. Still feeling that in my fingers. Feels good. Some forward folds. Extend your legs in front of you. Flex your feet back towards you. Inhale, reach your arms up overhead. Exhale, fold over your legs. Now, if your knees want to bend here, please let them bend. I see a lot of what seems to be self-harming here when people really fight to press the back of their legs to the floor. You can hyperextend things doing that. And we do a forward fold primarily to find some release in the lower back. They're also great for helping to alleviate depression of any kind. But don't hurt your legs to get your body to go lower. If your legs want to bend, let them do so. Inhaling, walk your hands up the front of your legs and sit up. A couple more folds. Use your arms to help your legs. Let your knees come out to the sides. Spin this way. Bring the soles of your feet together and set your feet a good distance away from you. So basically as far away from your pelvis as your feet can go and still be together and still be on the floor. And they don't have to be completely flush together. Maybe they're sort of splayed a little. Some contact in the soles of the feet to whatever degree works for you. Now, if there's room for you, you can reach under your ankles and grab the floor like that, but maybe there isn't room, in which case you just reach over your ankles and grab the floor. Either is fine. Walk your hands forward, using traction in your arms to get deeper into the low back, and let your neck go. Let your neck disengage and let your head hang. Think of breathing into the center of your lower back. Inhaling, walk your hands back and sit yourself up. We'll do one more fold now. I'll give this view so you can see what I'm talking about when I talk about my spine in a moment here. Now bring your heels in as close as you can, again, without straining or forcing. You might interlace your fingers and grab your toes or grab your toes in some other way. Wriggle on your seat. Let the bones in your seat get closer to the ground, tilting your pelvis forward. Inhale, lengthen up through the crown of your head. Think about your spine getting longer as your lungs fill. Exhale, hinge at the hips, fold forward with your spine long at first. Wherever the long spine stops lowering, then let your neck disengage and your head drop down. And think of sending your breath to your hips. Now your arms might rest on the inside of your legs, and maybe it feels good to nudge your legs down with your elbows and open your hips more, but maybe it doesn't. So do that if it's right for you. Some folks like to disengage more with the arms. You could let go of your feet and bring your hands forward. You're still getting into your hips here. You're finding something that's maybe more comfortable in your hands, in your arms. Neck is still disengaged, still breathing into my hips. Inhaling slowly, sit yourself up. Now, real important here to let your arms do the work of lifting your knees towards each other. If you just try to move your legs on their own there, definite opportunity to strain something. Bring your hands behind you, scoot forward, come onto your forearms, now to your back. You can have your blocks. Bring your blocks within reach. So you end up on your back with your heels as close to your butt as you could get them. And we're going to take a supported bridge pose. You can bring a block, put it between your knees on the middle position, if you like. When you're ready, press into the soles of your feet and inhale to press your hips towards the sky. And you can slide a block under you, under your sacrum, the bony plate at the base of your spine, lower down onto it. And you can always keep the block between your knees if you want, if you've got more than one block. And if you don't have blocks, you could put a pillow or a bolster there. You might even, I'll show you, like put my hands here, palms down under me, one hand on top of the other, and I just lower down so my sacrum is on the back of my hands. So I'm getting a little elevation, and I'm definitely getting that supportive pressure on the sacrum. It's not the same height as a block, of course, but it's something. And one student who comes to some of my Zoom classes doesn't have blocks, but has a hollow cylindrical roller for your back. So it's like a foam roller, but it's like, I think they call it a rumble roller. It's rigid plastic and then it has bumpy, hard foam rubber things on it, and you use it to work out fascial adhesions and basically for self-massage kind of things. Anyway, he uses this little roller thing where we often use blocks. So if you've got some kind of a roller, you could put a roller under your sacrum. And think of breathing into that support. Think of sending your breath through your block or whatever you're on. I don't know why thinking of sending the breath there helps your body accept the support beneath it, helps trigger release, but it certainly does, at least for me. I know I'm not the only one because someone taught me that. Your experience may be different. It's nice to pause and let a prop do the work. When you're ready to come out, press into your feet again, lift your hips again, Remove the prop from under you. Slowly let your hips come down after your sacrum touches down. Pause right there for a couple breaths. And move any props well out of the way. We'll do some twists, so we don't want to leave anything over here where it will get in the way. Real simple and gentle twist for a cooling down supine twist. Draw your knees towards your chest. No need to hug them. Reach your arms to the sides. And just let your knees fall to the left, turn your head to the right, and see if you can keep your shoulders grounded. So sometimes we do this with ankle cross over the knees like we did at the beginning. That's the energizing leg configuration. Sometimes we cross our knees. That gets deeper into here, the outer hip area. But this is the gentlest one, just letting the knees stay parallel. And so the closer your knees are to your chest, the deeper the twist will feel. So you can regulate that sensation. Maybe you want a deeper twist. Maybe you want less of that sensation. So you can move your knees closer to your chest or further away and change how it feels. Sometimes we do things to deepen the twist, and sometimes it's beneficial, sometimes it's too much. Some folks like to bring a hand to this knee and draw that knee down. Some folks like to extend that leg, and then the weight of the leg will help deepen the twist. But often it's just best to let gravity and breath do the work, let the legs hang. Take your time to bring your head and your knees back up through center, and just let that movement continue, letting your knees go to the right and turning your head to the left. Seeing if you can keep your shoulders on the ground. And maybe just let your breath bring you out. If you like, you might explore nudging the knee down and or extending the top leg. Slowly come back to center. Hug your knees. Rock and roll. Massage your back against the ground. Whatever movement feels good for you. Do that as much as you like. When you're ready, you can reach your feet up. Reach your hands up to take hold of your legs or your feet in any way that suits you. Play with bending and straightening your arms and legs in any way that suits you. Maybe bigger movements, maybe smaller movements. Listen to your body. You can invert for as long as you like in Happy Baby, or of course, any other inversion you want. When you feel complete with that, you can make your way to your final resting pose, Shavasana corpse pose. It's just one option, legs extended, feet splayed open, hands at your sides. If this isn't comfortable, please find a position that is. You may conclude your practice in whatever posture works for you to be comfortably still. For some quiet breathing. Finding whatever's comfortable, allowing the space for your breath to again get deeper and slower as it did when we began today. You might focus on your breath as a very simple meditation, or come back to an intention you set for yourself. Reflect upon that. Or just let your mind unfocus and just let your body melt a little closer to the ground with each exhale. So to give yourself some deeper breaths, nice and slowly wiggle your toes and fingers, exploring movement as you like. These are suggestions. Gradually letting the movements grow bigger, maybe rolling your ankles and wrists, gently turning your head side to side, starting to move legs and arms more, moving mindfully, taking your time. When you're ready, sit yourself up. And if you like, bring your hands up by your heart. And thank you for sharing practice with me today. The light within me sees and honors that same light within each of you. Namaste. Again, this is Leo Bray on behalf of Kristen Olson's Urban Yoga Center in Palm Springs. Please visit us at urbanyoga.org or on Facebook at Kristen Olson's Urban Yoga Center to stop by the tip jar as you're able and check out our schedule of daily classes. And questions and feedback are always welcome. For people who join me in real time and for those later on YouTube, please feel free to avail yourself of the comment section. Have a wonderful day.